The year is 1948, Ohio. You enter this world as a preemie, born too small and way too early. The doctors look at your shriveled frame and tell your parents you're a non-survivor. They say you won't last the night, but you have a death grip on life. You're the smallest pair of lungs in that hospital ward, but you scream until the world gives in. You fight for every breath like it's a gold coin you stole. In school, you aren't just the small kid, you're the runt, the favorite target for every bully in the Rust Belt. You quickly learn the golden rule of the playground. If you're too small to intimidate, you have to be too crazy to touch. You don't trade fair punches. You go for the shins, you bite, you gouge, and you aim low. By high school, even the seniors cross the street when they see you coming. You aren't a boy, you're a cornered animal that's forgotten how to back down. 1967. You're 19. The draft notice arrives in a crisp white envelope. Uncle Sam usually likes his soldiers broad-shouldered, but for the meat grinder in Southeast Asia, he'll take any caliber. You stand 5'4" at the induction center. The sergeant smirks, looking down at your file. "I've got a special office for you, Shorty," he says. You think it's a joke, until you land in Saigon. You step off the plane and walk straight into a furnace. 100% humidity. It feels like breathing warm soup, smelling of jet fuel and rotting jungle. Your CO points to a dark, jagged hole in the red clay. "The VC have a city built into the mud," he growls. "You're small enough to flush 'em out." That's how you became a tunnel rat. The elite of the damned, a volunteer for a job where life expectancy is measured in minutes. Before you drop, you strip. You shed the armor, the helmet, the web gear. In a crawl space, that's just extra weight that'll get you stuck, or a handle for an enemy to grab. You're left in a t-shirt and boots, with your dog tags clenched between your teeth so they don't clink. Your only friend is an old .45 caliber service pistol. It's heavy, it kicks like a mule, and in a silent tunnel, the blast will blow out your eardrums forever. But it stops anything it hits. Cold. You carry a crooked flashlight with a red filter and a combat knife for poking the dirt. You're looking for souvenirs, tripwires, pressure plates, and the thin glint of fishing line. The brass sent down some experimental tunnel kits, silent revolvers and headlamps, high-priced garbage. They jam in the mud and fail when you need them most. You throw them into the swamp. The old steel .45 is the only thing that speaks the local language fluently. They give you an M17 gas mask too. In theory, it saves your lungs. In practice, you can't see, you can't breathe, and the heat turns it into a rubber torture chamber. You leave it topside. You'll take your chances with the fumes. Your enemy has lived down here for years. They know every route and every hollow echo. They are small, fast, and they have the home field advantage in a 250-kilometer labyrinth. These aren't just holes. They're subterranean cities. Hospitals, ammo dumps, and kitchens. You're only seeing the tip of a very dark iceberg. The traps are pure nightmare fuel. Bamboo stakes dipped in sewage to ensure infection, and pit vipers tied to the ceiling. Two-step snakes, because that's all you take after a bite. One careless move, and you're just a line on a casualty report. But the real enemy isn't Charlie. It's your own mind. Claustrophobia isn't a fear down here. It's a physical weight. The walls don't just surround you, they squeeze. If you panic, if you thrash, you get stuck. And if you get stuck, you die in the dark while the earth eats you. Silence is your only prayer. You find the hatch, camouflaged under layers of rot. You take one last gulp of water. Check the chamber. Your buddy holds a rope tied to your ankle, your only umbilical cord to the world of light. You look at the sky. It's blue. You memorize it because this might be the last time you see the sun. Deep breath. 1, 2, 3. You drop. The shoulders barely fit. You exhale every bit of air just to slide through the rim. Dirt falls down your collar. You're in a coffin. The wooden lid slams shut, cutting off the world. Darkness hits you like a concrete slab. You flick the light. The red beam catches wet clay walls and tangled vein-like roots. This isn't a tunnel. It's a 10-mile grave. The air is thin, tasting of sulfur and stale sweat. You're breathing your own carbon dioxide. Your head swims. You've been crawling for hours. Your knees and elbows are raw meat, shredded by jagged rocks and old brass casings. Suddenly you hit a root. A clump of dirt falls, carrying a swarm of fire ants. They sting like white-hot needles. You can't even brush them off. There's no room. You just have to endure it. You shine the light up. 2 inches from your nose, a spider the size of a dinner plate is watching you. You don't shoot. You'll go deaf instantly. You hit a U-bend, designed to kill blast waves from grenades. You contort your body like a snake to get through. Stop. A glint in the beam. Fishing line. A tripwire. One tug and a grenade turns this crawl space into a red smear. With trembling hands, you use a safety pin to kill the fuse. One slip, and your insides decorate the walls. You turn off the light to listen. Black echoes. You hear your heart hammering against your ribs. You hear worms moving in the dirt. You need to go to the bathroom. You don't stop. You do it right there, in your pants. You crawl through your own waste because pride died 3 levels ago. Then a hiss. A pit viper tied to a beam. Your nerves snap. You fire. Bam! The sound tears your ears apart. Now you're blind from the dust and deaf from the blast. The cordite smoke hangs like a poison cloud. You've just signaled everyone that the rat is here. Hundreds of bats screech and dive into your face, claws catching in your hair. Pure panic. You feel a sting on your leg. A scorpion. You crush it through your pants, but the venom is already in. Heat plus poison plus fear equals hallucinations. The walls start to breathe. You see the faces of dead friends in the roots. A wooden door in the clay. You press your ear to the wood. Voices. There's no going back. You kick the door and burst in screaming, firing at anything that moves. It's a barracks. 1, 2, 3. You count the shots. 4, 5. 1 down. 6. Empty. You try to reload, but the mag is slick with mud. One of them lunges. No more guns. Just a primitive animal struggle in the muck. You use your light, your fists, a rock. You beat him until he stops moving. You sit among the bodies, gasping. You find the kitchen, the Huangkam stove that hides smoke. You haven't eaten in 24 hours. You grab a handful of rice with a bloody hand and swallow it whole. You search the bodies. Maps, orders, a photo of a family. They aren't monsters, they're just people. You keep the photo for intel. Next room, a field hospital. The smell of rot is a physical punch. A wounded man reaches for a grenade. You fire first. Was it mercy or murder? You don't know. The tunnel dives deeper. Level 3. You hit a water trap. You have to dive into the black soup and swim 3 meters, praying you don't get snagged. You dive. Your belt catches a root. You thrash. Air is gone. Panic is a cold hand around your throat. You cut the belt and break the surface, gasping. Your skin is covered in fat leeches. Beyond the water is the ammo dump. Soviet crates, RPGs, the heart of the nest. You pull out the C4. It feels like cold clay. You stick it to the crates and set the timer for 10 minutes. The way back is always longer. You're exhausted. Out of ammo. Your light dies. You're a blind mole with a ticking bomb at your back. You flick your Zippo. The flame leans left. A draft. There's a vent. You scramble toward the air, kick open a hatch and tumble into the brush just as the ground vomits smoke and fire. You survived 1968, but the war followed you home. At family dinner, you can't sit in a chair. It's too open. You sleep under the bed, clutching a knife. You bought a house just for the basement. To the world, you're a baby killer, or a vet with a chronic cough. Agent Orange finished what the tunnel started. Your lungs are failing, but your legacy is etched on a black wall in DC. You weren't Rambo. You were a high school-sized hero in a world that forgot you. Simulation complete. If it felt a little tight in here, hit that like. That's our oxygen. Subscribe and hit the bell. Don't get left in the dark. Keep the light burning. Over and out.